You're listening to The David Feldman Show.
Joining us is our resident film critic, Michael Snyder, The Wolfpack.
Well, this is fascinating, compelling, provocative stuff, and just the right amount of disturbing. It's about 6 brothers who have been locked away from society in an apartment on the Lower East Side of Manhattan for most of their lives by their father, who is a South American who has embraced Buddhism, and their Midwestern quasi-hippie mom. And they also have a little sister, and these people are like living on welfare. This is a documentary. It's the real deal. And yet the kids have been given access to DVDs like a lot of stuff that you wouldn't suspect would be in the purview of a Buddhist, but instead you get Reservoir Dogs. These guys are watching Pulp Fiction. They clearly like one of our favorite directors. And by the same token, they actually begin shooting with video cams their own versions of these movies, with each of the brothers taking a part in the film. They memorize the dialogue, and this is how they sort of maybe stay sane. Well, one of the guys goes out on Halloween to the outside world and is like kind of freed and comes back, and soon like basically the door is open and all the brothers begin wanting to be interactive with the rest of society. And this movie's all about what happens to the family when this goes down. It's for real. And in fact, the brothers are, I believe, making an appearance this weekend in Los Angeles at a screening of the movie, along with the director of the film, Crystal Moselle. And it's pretty amazing stuff and kind of spooky, very original approach to documentary making, and pretty damn good. The Wolfpack. Live from New York is the name of the documentary, and it's kind of a little Johnny-come-lately stuff after all the 40th anniversary celebrations and specials with famous sketches repurposed. It kind of feels like an afterthought, although some of the interviewees are pretty fresh, and the historical elements are still interesting. It's about the long-running NBC comedy variety show that was the creation initially of Lorne Michaels, who left the show for a period in the late 70s, early 80s, right around there, and then rejoined the show and has been kind of the ringmaster of late-night TV for NBC ever since. And, some of the best material holds up after repeated viewing, but on the other hand, 90 minutes really isn't enough for something like this after 40 years. Some great years and eras get short shrift, the original not ready for prime-time players, and the most recent casts get the most love, but there's little acknowledgement of, say, Robert Downey Jr., Anthony Michael Hall, and Randy Quaid, who were cast members during one really unsuccessful year. You don't want to, key on these guys, but at least, nod toward them. And then there was the pretty damn good Billy Crystal, Martin Short, Christopher Guest year, and you get a little bit of interview action from these guys, but nothing sketch-wise. I kind of felt it could have been so much more, but, you do get interview material with the likes of Chevy Chase and you guys like Alec Baldwin and Tina Fey, Will Ferrell, Darrell Hammond. It's what
Smigel?
it is. Val Nguyen. Smigel has a brief moment on screen as well. He talks about some of the writers, Jim Downey. There are people that get a little airtime, and of course, the senator from Minnesota. I think you know the senator from Minnesota. He himself gets a little airtime as well.
Very good, very good. Very quickly, Spy.
Well, you know what? I'm not a big fan of Melissa McCarthy, and so this was surprisingly entertaining considering that she's been leaning on this obnoxious, loose cannon, fat girl with a well of resentment routine in most of her previous films. She plays a CIA operative that is thrust out into the field when the guy she normally kind of helps from back in Tech Central is ostensibly killed. And there's pluck and sweetness and a kind of a no-nonsense capability here. She's funny. This is an effective, frequently funny, and it may be by the numbers as spy parodies go, but solid direction from Paul Feig, a solid script, and a first-rate cast at home with comedy, including Jason Statham, Jude Law, and Rose Byrne. So, I enjoyed the hell out of this, and I can't say that about Identity Theft, The Heat, or Tammy. First Melissa McCarthy project I've liked since Bridesmaids.
Okay, and very quickly, Entourage, anything there?
Oh, I was so terribly disappointed with this. I liked the show. It's like a clever HBO comedy series about a rising pretty boy Hollywood star and his entourage of friends from back in the hood, but they went to the well once too often with this feature film and stay there for a tedious 1 hour and 45 minutes. It's like the world's longest and most pointless episode of the series, and they have boatloads of celebrity cameos, and the real cast is on board here. And, of course, Jeremy Piven is immensely unlikable, and comedy kryptonite is Ari Gold, the agent turned studio head. The series used to please me in its first couple seasons. This feature film sequel feels like a waste.
Michael Snyder is our resident film critic. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you, Michael.
You got it, buddy.